everybody, I'm Kim Mangy-Burwald. I am the Director of Strategy over at Propane.
And I'm Alec DeTanto, our Director of User Experience at Propane.
And today we're going to be looking at MedMutual in our ongoing series of assessing the wonderful world of healthcare websites. Let's jump into it.
Okay, I think today we're just going to take a quick look at establishing what we think the site's for, who we think it's for, maybe talk about the brand of MedMutual a little bit and how their identity comes across through their digital experiences. And then finally, kind of take a look through some of the most common CTA funnels or user flows, kind of give you a heads up on the rundown of the site, what we think is great, what's going really well, and where we think maybe some improvements or sort of common pitfalls might be. So just kind of starting off, going through the site, I like the colors. The first impression is kind of coming out, definitely about insurance. So as I scroll down, I'm going through CTAs of getting started online, as well as talking to somebody, as well as actually diving in deeper and doing through some like education user flows. So seems like it's a pretty broad site. There's also some member logins. So looks like after I go through the process of maybe signing up, becoming a member with their insurance, I can also get into the site and manage my insurance account through a portal or something of that effect as well. Your thoughts, Kim Ming, on what you think the goals of this site might be, why it exists, what's it for?
I think it is primarily for people to buy and or manage personal health insurance plans with a secondary goal of allowing employers and employee benefit managers to choose MedMutual as an option.
Yeah, it's interesting. Even some of their navigation down here at the bottom starts to break out by individual and families versus employers versus, hey, I'm an insurance broker or a provider. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. For people who have MedMutual, I can come here and find a doctor as well. So there is some sort of, secondary or tertiary goals of supporting our members actually find the right type of our in-network care and, manage our benefits, as you were saying too.
Let's talk about the brand overall. Here for you, today and every day. That's nice. That gives me the warm fuzzies. I think 90% of the page is talking to me, an individual purchaser of medical insurance. And then I also believe that...
Yeah, it's interesting to note that, individual and families is first. We definitely have an individual and family photo here. So it does feel like we're narrowing in on that individual and family audience as maybe a primary audience when I come to the direct homepage here.
Right. And so I think a good start. I'll say, I don't know why MedMutual over anybody else, right? I don't know what's unique, what their differentiators are. But
Right.
And so that's something to look at. There's nothing that stands out to say like, oh, here's why I'm immediately an option that you should consider. Primary audience of individuals and families. But maybe we'll get more into that as we dive into the site.
Okay.
And so we're here. Nothing hits us over the head that says, we are health insurance built for people who live in blank communities. We know that MedMutual, because of our initial research, is based in the Ohio area, but immediately I don't know that for even the 4 minutes that we've spent on the site. And so is it limited? It is a company based in the Ohio area. Is it limited to people who live in the Ohio area? It would be a bummer if you were from New York or California or Nevada, other states, to come here and start researching this as an option when it is not an option for you. The thing that I'm wondering is I know nothing about insurance. I know nothing about buying insurance. What does it take? And are there any consequences to me actually speaking with an agent or buying insurance through an agent? Is there a fee that I would have to pay? Is there a markup? Is there a markdown? Like, what are those sorts of considerations? And so you give me the benefits, but in that sort of conversion stage of like, let's find a person, I don't really understand what's going to happen. I'm not told what to expect.
Right. Or even necessarily, does it help me educate me in how to shop? Like, should I look at plans first or should I get a quote first? There's some level of, where do I start? What's my path forward? And do I know I want a plan? Am I already even thinking and speaking in that language yet or not? I think it's fair to say there's a few sort of main use cases for our audiences. There's getting a quote is obviously being the sort of hero use case or the hero flow that we're supporting. From there, viewing individual and family plans, I wonder if I have to put my information in to see what my plans are, or is this being able to look at a broad directory of plans before I put in my personal information, like my zip code, my health, my tobacco use, and things like that. And then from there, as our sort of main audience being an individual or family, finding an agent looks like sort of a third use case or a third user flow I could go down if I want someone to help me shop, or I can kind of go on this education path of, let me learn more about MedMutual, like this mutual appreciation. Interesting that they use the term mutual in there from their name as well as sort of a headline. And then
Fun play on words.
From a brand standpoint, yeah. And then also, hey, this is your community, our community, we work together, some more educational content. So I think it's fair to say getting a quote is where they're really trying to push me as an individual or family shopper. One of the things to note, we do have a split CTA here. I can start online or I can talk to somebody 8 to 8, probably Eastern time if I'm in Ohio. So that's kind of nice to know that we tend to see if I'm an older shopper, I'm more comfortable over the phone. I can just reach out and maybe get somebody. Or if I just want to get in, get work done, find out my quote, I also can self-serve in that way, which is a nice way to support the varying mindsets or mental models of different types of insurance shoppers.
That is nice. So let's go back to clicking on start here.
Yep. Okay. So it takes me right into some plans and products, it looks like. I'm seeing, I am distracted by find a doctor or tax subsidy estimator a little bit. So I'm wondering, like, should I be finding a doctor and should I be looking that way? Like maybe before I choose my insurance, I should know what kind of care I want to get. And so that should maybe a doctor first approach is something that's, as a consumer, an educated way to shop for insurance, but I'm not sure how many people start the path that way. But
Exactly.
It's interesting that it's breaking this top header area and kind of peaking above and almost feeling more important than even what the main area is trying to show me. It's a sidebar, but it's breaking the grid. And so it's really kind of drawing my eye to it. It's an interesting choice. And so I'm wondering what the importance there is.
I'm actually really confused by the split CTA on the top here. Is eligible for a tax subsidy, shop the federal marketplace, not using a subsidy.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, what? So
Mm-hmm.
what, do people know this as a matter of course? Are people already self-identified as this? I don't know if I'm eligible for a tax subsidy. Maybe that means something.
It does, in our past work with Kaiser Permanente, for instance, as we consider the insurance purchase process, we know that the tax subsidy changes in how you might shop for insurance, but it's not necessarily someone's educated about before they visit your site. So we need to make them aware of the tax subsidy and see if they're eligible, but we also don't have to do that to just give them a quote. And so there's sort of a roundabout plan in terms of how we want to maybe approach that. So it's interesting here that you're encouraging me to go into 2 different paths before I even know if I'm eligible for a tax subsidy or not.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Precisely. So you've offered me 2 options that I do not know which one to pick. And that's a problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why not educate me first and give somebody who already knows a quick way to make that choice? But yeah. I'm going to say the majority of people don't quite know.
And if you have a tax subsidy estimator already, perhaps leading with that so you can help me identify the split first. So it's, hey.
Or just posit the concept first. Yeah. Hey, if you don't know if you need it, if you are eligible for tax subsidy, here's our tax subsidy estimator. And if you don't know, this is the way you should go. If you do know, here's your 2 options, right? That's the split. It's like, if you're uneducated, come here. If you are educated, go there.
Yeah, it's interesting that it doesn't offer me the most common scenario, which is I don't know.
Right. Precisely.
That's what I hear you saying. I don't know. Where do I go?
So another place I want to comment on this page is the sub menu that comes up above, and it says plans and products, right? That seems like a lot of different plans, which is what I would have assumed I was going to be looking at when I looked at individual and family plans, right? I was going to be looking at medical, dental, vision, short-term health, whatever, all the different types of plans I could buy. So I haven't gotten there yet. But this stuff, why choose Medical Mutual? Why have I not seen that? Why is that content not surfaced on the homepage, on a shopping page? It's almost never a purposeful destination for an audience as to why choose us. I'm going to click there. No, that's the sort of information that you need to feed your audience along the journey so that they can be convinced that making the next choice down towards conversion is the correct choice for them. You need to be validating that journey, not siloing all of the why choose us in a choice that is not necessary to choose on the path to conversion. So all of that information right now is at a very high risk of never being seen by your audience.
Nailed it. I can't agree more. You know, and just identifying that in my head made me think, okay, getting a quote, our most important hero flow. After I click get a quote, let's dedicate maybe 60% of the screen to moving me down the flow of getting a quote. Then let's put sort of trigger text or trigger content that helps keep me motivated to keep going through that flow that can be pulled from or derived from why I'm choosing Medical Mutual. And so maybe that's another 20%. And then if I'm that user who just doesn't know and I need more education, dedicate 20% of that screen to giving me those common questions or that way to get help in health insurance and education. And so it's almost like if we start splitting to kind of say we want to force people or encourage people down that hero flow of getting a quote, and let's just remove friction, unblock them, and make it super easy for them to start going down that flow. But for that person who has hesitations or that person who needs more information, let's answer their questions right here alongside of that main flow so they don't leave the flow. Right now, what I'm seeing is kind of that same 60-40 split in terms of, or 70-30 split or whatever, but the 70 is giving me a couple different ways to go. And then the 30 is giving me other places to go. So nothing's really directing me down the flow or answering questions to keep me moving down the flow. Really, I feel like I'm at a place where I just have a lot more branching options. So I'm not at the trunk of the tree. I'm at like the branches of the tree right now. And where I think we really want people to be is really focused moving down that tree, right down that trunk, down that path, that dedicated flow.
Can you click on health insurance education? I'm wondering if this is how to get health insurance, compare health insurance plans. You know, this seems like this might be education unique to an individual and family audience, which is why it's here. This seems like a mighty ripe for a bit of a CTA telling you, if you don't know how to shop, here's some of the things you can learn in this section, right? Because right now it's really hard. Like that submenu is incredibly small, and you want your audience, if they have questions, to know exactly where to go to get the answers, right? And you want to set them up for success to be like, hey, if you have questions for bang, 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 and bang, go to our health insurance education section. But right now, you're depending on someone to really know their own needs. I don't know enough. I wonder if this site has a place for me to go for me to learn about how I should be making this purchase, making this decision. Even the guidance for the guidance is not there.
Right. And it's interesting that in that same vein, I need help. It just takes me to call us. But they have plenty of helpful information right here they could point me to. Like I said, to kind of just dedicate 20% of your screen to get some of that helpful information seeded so that if I need it, I can get it. Otherwise, keep me focused on moving down a flow. And so I think that the content's there. The different ways to get help are there. They're just maybe not presented in a way that's inviting and easy to see and easy to find and maybe in the right order even. Let's assume, to keep us moving down the flow, that, because I think we've hit home on the point that it's help educate me on how to buy insurance, help me if I'm in that I do not know state yet, and help move me into the, okay, so I'm not using a subsidy and I'm ready to shop for plans. You know, you want to get people to that state as fast as possible, so we start shopping. Looks like I am taken sort of away from the core site experience to sort of a subdomain. Looks like it's a little bit of an application, both in terms of to fill out and in terms of a program. It looks like here is where I can start adding information, addressing sort of the basics of spouse or partner, any of my dependents that I want to include, whether they use tobacco, et cetera. So this really gets us into that get a quote flow.
What bothers me about this stage is that I am being asked for all this information and I haven't been told this MedMutual has exactly what I want yet. I've been given a list in writing. We have vision plans, dental plans, short-term health plans, but I had to find that list. And when I've come here, there's no guarantee that I've seen and been sold, hey, we've got really comprehensive dental plans for whether or not your kids need orthodontics or whatever it is. I have not been sold or told about any of the plans right now. I have maybe seen a drop-down list of types of plans. And so before you show me the goods, you're asking me for so much. You haven't sold them to me yet.
So I think this hits on this idea of, let's go back to the journey. Let's go back to the journey of the user. There's going to be these phases, right? There's going to be the phase of awareness. Who is Medical Mutual and why? Mm-hmm. Then there's going to be the education of, hey, what do we offer? Why is it better? How is it positioned? Why should I choose? What do you offer and why should I care? Mm-hmm. And then get me into, okay, deep research about what's it going to cost me? How can I make it that's where I want to get into get a quote. So exactly. It's, if you want to push get a quote and make it easy for a user to do the most important thing for you, the highest converting point that leads to sales, you have to assume that they know who you are, why they should care about you, and what you offer. And so it's okay to give people a way directly into that state of deeper research and justification for me at Medical Mutual, but you can't assume that everybody's there. And so then maybe let's dedicate space on the homepage, space to the experience that maybe gives me a little bit more information and takes me through that awareness and education phase before I get into the deeper research phase.
So this page is already a little better. It breaks up my options into some more, I'll say, saleable chunks, right? Health insurance education, plans and products, healthy living. It still has that get a quote as the primary CTA, which will still take you to the same get a quote. But at least here, there's a little bit more about, can you go back to the...
You know where we are? Can I just say one thing?
Yeah.
If I go back to the homepage, I go to start here. It takes me to individual, family, and plans. It takes me to, I'm seeing the information architecture of the site in my head right now. We have a homepage. Underneath the homepage, we have individuals and families, Medicare, employers, brokers, and providers. I can click get a quote and it jumps me into the individuals and families pillar to the subpage get a quote in the individuals and families pillar. But if I were to just go back up to that section of the section default page of individuals and families, that's sort of a first layer, I'm not at the get a quote section yet. I'm at the place talking to me as an individual and family, which is also the same place the homepage took me for the view individual and family plans, which I thought would take me just to look at the plans, not necessarily to a sort of sub homepage just for individuals and families. So our information architecture has a lot of layers to it that I think maybe it's not a bad architecture in terms of it's clear and it's user based or it's centered around our users, but I think it maybe adds a little bit of excess to the layers, and we're jumping deeper into it without necessarily taking the time to help people get through that journey of that buyer journey.
Right. And so my issue with this page is that I want to see plans and products. That's what I was sold. And now I still have a list that is not positioned, that is not making products, of their medical insurance, their dental insurance, their vision insurance. They're giving me the positioning and the why MedMutual for medical insurance, why MedMutual for dental insurance. This page is a little underwhelming as well, right? It's at least it's broken out, I will say, by headers, which is nice, and icons is also nice. It's somewhat visual, but I think we could do more as far as making this page a little bit more attractive to shop through and help me understand at a high level you can choose all of these or package them. You can choose one at a time. Like, help me figure out a little bit more about how I'm going to be able to buy more than one of these, right? Give me just a little bit of insight, a little bit of illustration as to what it means to get multiple ones of these from MedMutual. So that page has no humans on it. Why do you buy insurance? You know, what's the heart and soul? What are you trying to convince someone of? It's that their family will be safe.
Protection.
Their family will be taken care of. That you are doing the responsible thing. You are doing your job as a parent. You're doing your job as a spouse. That's what you have to convince people of to buy insurance, right? That's the emotional sell. That we are here for you and your goals, and your audience goals are, yeah, probably like, if Doris needs braces, then she needs braces. We need to like make sure that we're covered in that eventuality. But her needing braces means you are trying to ensure that your daughter or son are set up and has every chance to succeed and be healthy and happy. Like, that's what you're selling when you sell insurance. Insurance to be healthy and happy. And I don't see any of that on these pages.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm missing the emotional sale entirely. So the chances of someone getting through the awareness phase, through the education phase, to the point where they want to give you information and see the specifics of what I could buy, we're already setting up, there's already a lot of opportunities to improve getting people to that state where they're more likely or have a higher propensity to buy. Then once we get into the get a quote experience, or once we get deeper into the conversion flow, the opportunity to simplify that, ask one question at a time, and just modernize that is absolutely there to increase conversion, reduce the amount of cognitive load, and increase the amount of people who likely make it through that funnel. And that's where I would start from the beginning, is taking it phase by phase, go back to that customer journey, and really optimize how the site performs at each phase to complete that goal of how do we get more insurance plans sold to our individual and family shoppers.
Yes, I totally agree. What is the main journey? How are we helping people convince themselves to take the next step into that journey? There's no convincing going on at any point in this site, right? So, I mean, there is, it's just in a place that no one is going naturally. And so how are we guiding that journey? The journey exists, but people really have to want it. They really got to take themselves through it. And so thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Kim Ming-Huberwald. I'm the Director of Strategy at Propane.
And I'm Alec Tatanto, our Director of User Experience.
And let us know what you think, and let us know if there's any other websites that you think we should be looking at in the healthcare space.
Yep. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We do a few of these a week, and you can ring the bell, click the bell icon to get notified when the new ones come out. And in the comments, let us know what you think. Looking forward to talking to you next time.